Hey guys! Welcome back to another true crime podcast episode.
Today we're talking about Selena Quintanilla.
So Selena was born on April 16th, 1971 in Lake Jackson, Texas.
She was the youngest of three in a Mexican-American family.
Her father was a very talented musician who played guitar and drums and everything like that. And she started singing at 7 years old, and he quickly saw her passion and her talent for singing.
So he decided to start a family band called Selena y los Dinos, and her sister and her brother were also in it, and she was the lead singer. Mm-hmm. And then her father converted her garage into a soundproof studio for them to play in.
Eventually, music became the family's main source of income as they continued to play more gigs and make more money. And eventually, the dad made the executive decision to pull her out of school in the 8th grade.
But she earned her GED when she was 17.
They recorded their first album as a family band when she was 13 to 14. However, the record label decided not to release it. It wasn't released until 11 years later when her dad officially bought the rights for the record.
So then she won her first major music awards, and she won from her album Alpha, and she became Female Vocalist of the Year in 3 separate award events, and in 1987, and she won Performer of the Year as well.
Eventually, Sony Latin record label found her at a music event and signed her that night.
So that was about 1991. She started to scale nationally. She had a booming career, and she became a full-blown celebrity.
At this point, she was more famous for her Latin American fans, but she broke through with the American audience with the song "Still Dreaming of You."
Period.
We're playing.
She won her first Grammy for Best American Album, and that really cemented her as the most influential artist of her generation.
She still performed with her family band. However, she was branching out and forming her own career. She sold millions of albums, got $1 million record deal, and opened her own clothing line and boutique.
She was sponsored by many brands, including Coca-Cola.
She became a fashion icon quickly, and this is when she met Yolanda Saldívar. She was planning to create a fan club for her, and they eventually became friends.
Yeah, Selena really trusted Yolanda, and she actually named her as her operations manager, so that meant that she managed all of her finances. But Yolanda had a very dark past, which she did not share with Selena.
Mm-hmm. Yolanda was actually accused of stealing $10,000 from her former nursing jobs, and Selena's father found out that fans that paid for her membership to a fan club weren't receiving the merch that was promised.
Yeah, so her father was really suspicious of Yolanda, and around this time as well, it was discovered that money was being taken from Selena's boutiques. So it ended up that $30,000 just disappeared randomly. So her father, Selena's father, wanted to schedule a meeting with Yolanda because also there was checks that were found, and they were Yolanda was writing them, but they were writing them to random places, including herself. So her father decided to schedule a meeting with Yolanda, and she didn't deny it, but she was like, I can explain everything. You just have to give me time. She was like, I have proof. I'll explain everything.
And immediately after this meeting, Yolanda went out and purchased a weapon in Texas. And Selena really trusted Yolanda and really wanted to keep being friends with her and keeping her on her team. So Yolanda was planning a trip to Mexico to open a new boutique.
No, Selena.
Yeah, Selena. And she brought Yolanda along with her as a last chance to keep her around.
Yeah, so I think this was while they were in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So Yolanda called Selena and claimed that she was attacked with a baseball bat, and that all of the proof that she had that stated that she didn't steal the money from Selena, all of the proof and all the documents were inside of a car that she said was stolen when she was attacked.
Mm-hmm. And she went to the hospital, but the doctors were really suspicious because Yolanda refused medical care, and she booked a motel when she returned back to Texas and asked Selena to meet her there, and this was in Corpus Christi.
Yeah, so then Selena's father claims that this was one of Yolanda's attempts to kill Selena because she wanted to get her alone and everything, but then Selena ended up showing up with her husband, so Yolanda did not kill her that night.
Mm-hmm. And Selena obviously brought her husband, and Yolanda gave the wrong documents to Selena, claiming that she was innocent. And Selena was like, I'm not buying this. Like, this is ridiculous. And eventually, on March 31st, 1995, Yolanda called Selena and said she was bleeding from the injuries she ensued from her attack in Mexico. And Selena and she asked Selena to come alone to the motel and get her.
Yeah, so then Selena picked her up and brought her to the hospital, and then it ended up that Yolanda actually didn't have any injuries. So Selena brought her back to the motel. So this was really when Selena reached her breaking point with Yolanda because she was just lying to her. And they got into a really big argument, and it was about how Selena was going to let her go and fire her and everything.
And this is when Yolanda raised a gun and shot her once. Selena collapsed to the floor, and she raised her gun and shot her again. And she was bleeding hysterically, and the doctors rushed her to the hospital, gave her a blood infusion, and tried to restart her heart, but nothing worked. And unfortunately, she passed away at the age of 23 on March 31st, 1995.
Yeah, so this was really unfortunate because Selena was really loved by a lot, not just a lot of people, not just for her music, but just for like the influence that she had and her type of music and just the person that she was.
Yeah, she was a role model for Hispanic girls everywhere that you can make it. And she was a business model and a fashion icon. And unfortunately, and her influence is still seen today. And Yolanda was sentenced to life in prison for first-degree murder. To recap, Selena was a very influential Latin pop artist and broke the American market with her song Dreaming of You. Recently, Billboard ranked her as the third most influential Latin pop artist of all time. So her influence is still seen today in America and the world. Rest in peace, Selena. Well, that's all
That's
we
all we got.
for this week on Selena Quintanilla.
We'll see you next week.
on True Crime.